Hello, this is Mr. Bacon Bits, and welcome back to my Xenoblade X Definitive Edition guide. Previous chapter, we've gotten introduced to what NLA, our habitat, is like, along with a brief rundown of the features in the administrative district. Let's head into the barracks to meet up with Nagi again.
Honey, we're home.
Yes, very amusing.
Who wants a fresh cup of tea?
Thank you, Ms. Gu, but I can't stay long. I just wanted to pass along a request from your commanding officer.
Commander Vandam? Does it have anything to do with our new arrival?
Correct. He stopped by while you were out on your tour. He said he'll come back, but that I shouldn't wait to ask you.
Here we go. I bet I can guess.
You probably can. He wants to fast-track our new friend here for blade duty with a training assignment. What in the hell are we waiting for? As he put it.
The commander does have a way with words.
Makes even my pitch sound smooth.
I explained about the memory issues, but he didn't see it as a problem. And to be honest, given our current need for blade recruits, I can't say I entirely disagree.
Hey, it's not me you need to convince. Blade service is voluntary, remember?
Of course, and I would never force or coerce anyone. Well, friend, what do you say? Can we count on you to do your part?
This isn't an actual choice, by the way. Nagi won't take no for an answer if you refuse. It's funny, though. I'll show it at the end, with some music added for flavor.
I knew you'd make the right choice. Welcome to the organization. Elma, she can start on your team. You'll begin training immediately.
Yes, Mr. Secretary. With pleasure.
All right. Welcome to the Cool Kids Club.
Now then, let's discuss that training assignment. We've decided to start you out on a probe installation, just to get your feet wet.
I guess we should back up a bit. Here in New LA, we're using a specialized computer system called Frontier Nav to help us deploy a sensor grid across Mira. A network of data probes that allows us to monitor conditions and collect all kinds of information about the planet.
Expanding that grid and filling in the blind spots is one of Blade's highest priorities. Here, take a look at this. What you're seeing on screen is a terrain map that includes New LA and the surrounding landmass. As you can see, we've divided the area into a series of hexagonal blocks. We call these blocks segments, and together they form our grid. We determined this was the most efficient pattern, given the limited range of our probes. Based on it, we know exactly where we need the probes to go. Now we just have to install them.
The sooner the better, as far as I'm concerned. The Frontier Nav probes can also detect the general locations of living things in the vicinity, which comes in handy if we need to track down a blade or another citizen.
Yes, quite handy indeed. So for this first exercise, you'll be heading here, to that white segment. Go there, install the data probe, and then come back home.
Got it. East of the city.
In that case, we can take the east gate out of the administrative district, right? We should be there in no time.
I'll leave the details on the data probe installation procedure to you, Elma.
Of course, Mr. Secretary. All right, you two, shall we?
Yeah! Training or not, let's go install the hell out of that probe!
Alright, our inaugural mission to become a member of Blade is to install a data probe. This is actually pretty important, though. So let's just head out of the barracks and we can get started on that. I'm just I'm resetting my camera settings. I had it set to center for a specific screenshot that I was taking, but I like it when it's not centered on the character, just in general. That's better. Alright.
Man, am I glad we pulled an assignment to the east of the city this time. It'd be a long walk all the way back over to the west gate.
Hold on. Are we even sure the East Gate will be open? Last I heard, it was still on lockdown from all the high-level indigen activity.
It was, but they just lowered the threat level earlier today. The gates are officially open for business. One of our teams must have gone out there and kicked some furry indigen butt, huh?
Well, that's the East Gate, so it's probably someone else.
Wouldn't surprise me at all. Irina's team is one of our best.
How does she know Irina and Gwyn?
We ran into them just before we met up with you. They were on their way out to an assignment.
Well, then that settles it. It must have been them, right? Man, forget this amateur hour probe baloney. Those guys are where the action's at.
I'll try not to take that personally. But enough talk. We've got our mission to deal with. Let's head out.
Roger. That probe isn't gonna install itself. Let's get to the East Gate, shall we?
Now we're introduced to our map. This keeps track of various tasks we can seek out and find or solve throughout the entirety of Mira, with NLA and the barracks having their own separate grids. This is but one way to keep track of completion. On the original Wii U version, this map, along with other smaller features, were stuck on the controller's screen, but now it's simply just a menu option. As you can see, that's our destination right there, that FN site. And you can see landmarks that you've discovered here. Here's the NLA map. And there are also... there's the Frontier Nav tab. This I'll get into later. But yeah. Another thing about the map is you can also quickly bring it up by pressing Y. Now, to quickly show off how the segment map works, there's a treasure box behind the scout console here, and it's tied to a segment. Let's see what happens when we open it. See? Gives you an update on survey rate percentage upon clearing a segment. And it is reflected on here. This is how the segment map works. So with that in mind, let's head out of the East Gate, shall we? I think I'm going to be talking to this NPC right here.
Yes?
Oh, have you come to see the town helper? I'm sorry, what? You don't know who the town helper is? It's me, silly! I'm a mediator, but I started dabbling on the side. I teach weapon skills, offer equipment tips, deliver lost items, give life advice. Folks just started calling me the town helper. I kinda like it, to be honest. Alrighty then.
Hey.
Here is also another interesting thing. You can change the time by sitting on these red benches here. Again, since they made it so that you can change time anywhere, kinda not really necessary, but the functionality is there. Let's see what Thomas has to say.
Hey.
What about the indigens?
Yes?
Why not get used to battling indigens by fighting some of your OVs? This place is lousy with them, after all. Unlike Grexus and other more ferocious indigens, Ovies won't even attack unless you hit them first. That makes them useful as training dummies. Another piece of advice, don't mistakenly pick a fight with any of the dangerous creatures near Sarum Lake to the north. Numerous skilled interceptors have fallen to the indigens in that area. As noble a goal as protecting the city is, it's not worth risking your life like that. If you ever catch the eye of one of those indigens, just turn and run away. Well, that's good advice. Unfortunately, we can't practice on Ovies because it's nighttime. But, maybe another time. Yeah, there's Etseculas and Vespers around instead. Let's just, continue on forward. Pass under this arch here. See, we're heading to that beacon in the distance for our mission. Another base camp. Nothing to it. But I see a lot of corpses. Wonder what happened here.
What the hell happened here? You don't think that one Sinicula could have killed all these simius? Unless... what?
This is bad.
What's bad? I don't follow you.
That Sinicula. It's a tyrant.
Huh? But it looks just like any other Sinicula.
Think about it. Your typical simius is way higher up on the food chain than your typical Sinicula, right? Usually we'd find one simius standing over 3 or 4 Sinicula corpses. But here, the tables have been turned. And I don't see a single trace of any other indigens in the area. There's only one explanation. That Sinicula is a tyrant.
Let me check the Blade Report database. If there's a tyrant this close to the city, someone must have run across it. Bingo. There was a Sinicula tyrant sighted not too long ago, but it was a couple of segments further out.
It could have followed the blade that spotted it back towards New LA, or come here to feed, or who knows what.
That's crazy. I can't believe there's a tyrant right on our doorstep and HQ isn't doing a thing about it.
Well, don't forget why they sent us here in the first place. Frontier Nav's range is still limited.
Oh, right. They couldn't track it if there's no local probe. They must have lost it when it went off the grid.
I could probably figure it out, but what is a tyrant?
The tyrant designation is given to creatures that pose a special threat in one way or another. That doesn't always mean raw strength. Some tyrants will actually register as low rank when we find them out in the field and engage them in combat.
But don't let that fool you. If a creature shows up as a tyrant, you can be sure it's got at least one nasty trait or ability to speak of. The system can't account for everything, though, so don't let your guard down, no matter what rank it assigns. Even some of Blade's very best teams have come back with serious injuries after running into a tyrant in the field. If they come back at all.
Well, I think the 3 of us could take it. It's early game anyway.
Well, alright. I'm game if you are. Count me in, Elma. Let's do this. If we're gonna settle here on this planet, we're gonna have to get used to dealing with tyrants now and then. We can't just keep running forever, you know? Besides, I'd never forgive myself if someone else ended up getting hurt because we just left it here.
All right. Let's do it. But don't push it, okay? Either of you. If we can take it down, great, but if not, even just luring it away would be a moral victory. As long as we buy enough time to install the probe, we can use Frontier Nav to track it or any other tyrant that comes this close to the city from now on. Just make sure you're ready before we attack. This will be tougher than anything else we've faced.
So, tyrants. The game recommends we check our gear and other stuff before engaging, and it's a good idea before dealing with any tyrant. For those who are familiar with other Xenoblade games, tyrants are just like the unique monster system, where certain enemies are more powerful than their brethren, and have a unique name given to them. So, first on the list is ground gear under the party menu. Here you can equip armors and weapons. I'll get deeper into what everything does in the next video, but just in general, look for blue boosts to your stats. The power rating and TP gain rating are also easy, generalized summaries of how good the equipment is if you just want to equip something real quick. Generally, the higher this rating is, the better it is. You can also use the fashion gear option right underneath ground gear. Any new piece of equipment you get that boasts a new look you've never seen before will be permanently recorded as an option to use here, regardless of if you still have the armor piece in your inventory or not. Pretty useful transmog feature in case you really like the look of particular armor pieces, but there's just better stuff in terms of stats. For my main story videos, I'm keeping my party members' appearances as default. Unfortunately, though, there's no transmog for weapons. Really sad. But yeah, moving on to other stuff we can upgrade, there's arts. Here, arts are listed based on the weapons we can currently use, though not all arts will be unlocked through the same class. Jumping a bit ahead there, but I'll talk about classes soon. Here we can level up how powerful our arts are through a battle point system. BP is obtained in various ways, and such as level ups or class rank ups, discovering base camps and other locations, and a few other things. Art levels can be increased up to 5 for each one, and each character has their own BP amount. Just take a look at any of your more commonly used arts and use that BP for any upgrades you think would be good. Generally, leveling up arts to level 3 is very cheap, so you might as well go ahead and do that. You can notice for each art that there is an initial cooldown time, the amount of hits it does, any additional effects along with their direct duration if applicable, and hit scaling. What is hit scaling? Well, it's a multiplier utilizing your total attack stat, in the most simple terms. It counts for each hit rather than the total amount of damage it can do, hence the name. For a generalized look at how good an art is, just like with the gear power and TP gain rankings, there's an art power ranking you can use to quickly determine what arts may be good to use. Next are skills. You and your other party members learn these over time, and they are essentially passive effects. These too can be upgraded with BP, up to level 5. Unfortunately, none of us have learned any skills yet, which, much like arts, are through upgrading the class rank. So on to that one next. You may have noticed class rank up appear over these characters occasionally, as well as them learning new arts. Well, aside from basic level ups, you have classes to level up. So let's go into the basics of class management right now. This class tree is something that only your created character has access to. Each class offers unique weapon types, which offer different sets of arts and skills, and once one is maxed out, you go to the next one that catches your eye and start working towards that. You gain class points from battle, which raise your class rank. You can see quick information about your class progress on the character info box on the upper left during gameplay. Your classes are maxed at rank 10, and if you max out a tree, you can actually use those arts and weapons while on another class tree, offering full customization to whatever build you want. As for the other party members, they are hard set on a specific specialized version of a class, and their class maxes out at rank 20. What this means is that, as an example, Elma uses the Full Metal Jaguar class but has slightly different skills and arts than the Full Metal Jaguar class that you can switch to. But fulfill certain objectives, and you'll be able to use some of those. Alright, before we fight. Almost all enemies have appendages that can be targeted. These parts are tied to the enemy performing certain arts, and also give you extra items for battle spoils if you succeed in breaking them. To switch appendages when targeting an enemy, simply hold R and press Y or A to cycle between them, at least the ones you can reach. The health of an appendage is shown as a yellow bar next to their target reticle. This fight really isn't too hard. The only tough part about it is its somewhat large HP pool. Stay away from its legs as its stomps can stagger you annoyingly, and try to target its horn above its head. Destroying the horn reveals a weak spot where you can deal more damage than normal. Crippling the legs does keep it from moving around as much, but taking it down faster is priority number 1. And, you know, since this tyrant is still standing, let me explain tension points and TP arts. Tension points are obtained through auto attacks and other special means, and as a resource that is carried over between battles unless you get KO'd and respawn. 3000 TP is required in order to revive a party member, and usually 1000 TP is required in order to use TP arts, which are conveniently marked with the letters TP. These are the arts in which the effectiveness of them is determined by your potential stat. So early game these might not be much, but later on with a much higher potential stat, you should seriously give these arts some thought about using. Also, you've probably been wondering what all this on-screen information means, it being the third time you've seen it on these videos. Most of it is self-explanatory, but allow me to take a snapshot and explain regardless. Starting on the left from the top, it's the enemy's stats. I already explained what all the stats mean in the prologue video, so let's move on. Next are the resistances. These first ones above are the elemental resistances. You're generally looking for negative values in order to exploit those weaknesses here. Next are the debuff resistances, but I only have icons with no explanation. Well, first off, the colored outlines explain the resistance level. Blue outline means there is no resistance to that debuff. Yellow means there is some resistance and has a chance of not working as a result. While red means that the enemy is immune to that debuff entirely. Now to explain what the icons actually mean. This first one is stagger. Because of the icon, it's basically break from the other games. This interrupts the current enemy action, reduces topple resistance briefly, and enables the ability to bind. Something you won't have access to for a while, so don't worry about that. This one is flinch. You might be familiar with this if you get caught by an enemy suddenly. The enemy freezes up for 2 seconds regardless of the strength of the debuff. This is topple. Topple infliction means the enemy cannot dodge attacks, and they take more damage. It also interrupts any enemy action thanks to forcing them to fall down. This is launch. Enemies get sent flying back with this infliction. And this one is knockback. The enemy gets knocked back with this hit, but not as far as launch. These two are likely used to push an enemy into an abyss or something. Stun is kind of another form of topple. Stunned enemies cannot move or evade attacks, and they take more damage. It does not interrupt current enemy actions, though. This one is bind. Again, this is an effect that is unavailable at the moment, but it keeps the enemy unable to do any actions and they take more damage, for roughly 10 seconds unless they are able to break free from it. As mentioned before, the only way to inflict bind is to stagger the enemy first. This is sleep. The enemy will fall asleep, unable to move for a long period of time, but they instantly wake if attacked. Only useful in group fights, I'd say. This last purple one is interesting. It's called Control. This special infliction causes the enemy to be temporarily turned into an ally. This means they will stop attacking the party, and if in a fight with multiple enemies and you switch targets, the controlled enemy will also help by attacking the targeted enemy. Moving on to the debuffs, this first one is Taunt, which I mentioned in an earlier video. Forces the enemy to target the one who taunted. This one is Virus, a debuff that disables auto attacks and ranged attacks. This one is Blackout, reduces accuracy, evasion, and amount of damage that ranged attacks can deal. This one is Fatigue, which reduces the damage of melee attacks and auto attacks. This is Slow Arts. Art cooldown speed is slowed down with this. This does apply to enemies, since they do have arts with their own cooldowns. These two are similar in that they are damage over time debuffs. First is Blaze, which inflicts thermal damage every 3 seconds, while the other is Shock, inflicting electric damage every 2 seconds. These next 6 ones are debuffs that decrease elemental resistances: Physical, Beam, Ether, Thermal, Electric, and Gravity. You can exploit these to force enemies to take damage from weaknesses they'd normally not have, if they're not resistant or immune. This second to last one is Debuff Resistance Down. Yes, there is a way to decrease enemy resistance to debuffs in general, if they're vulnerable from this. This last one is HP Recovery Down. For the enemies that can heal themselves for an annoying amount, this might be good to inflict if possible. Finally, moving on from the resistances, the additional notes are if the enemy has anything else of note, like if it has any passive skills or certain behaviors. Finally, the right side is entirely for the enemy's list of arts. First is the name of the art, the element it uses, whether it's a ranged, melee, or buff art, hence R, M, or B, and then any debuffs or special effects the art can do. That should be everything, I believe. Let's finally move on.
Yeah? We'll want to see this move.
Watch the way into it.
Here, that's true on.
We are awesome!
Nice work, Lynn. You fought well. You did too. Now let's get down to business and install that data probe. If we stay here for long, there's no telling what other playmates might show up. This beam of light indicates a frontier nav site. It marks the ideal spot to bury the probe.
Okay, the probe should be ready for insertion. I'll just boot it up.
Thanks, Lynn. The top half of the cylinder contains the probe itself. The bottom half is a laser. It dissolves the soil so the probe can burrow to the proper depth. We tried just planting them on the surface at first, but we kept running into problems with the local wildlife damaging the goods. Burying them is going to save us all a lot of time and headaches in the long run. We all set?
Yes, ma'am. Whenever you're ready.
Why don't you do the honors? You can launch it right from your comm device. Give it a try.
Yeah, might as well.
Good. Now we just need to give it a minute to reach the target depth.
And installation complete. We are now online with a solid connection to Frontier Nav.
Excellent. See? At the end of the day, there's really not much to it. The hardest part was calculating the ideal probe locations. We need them spread out evenly to maximize data collection.
Yep, planting probes is easy. And the more we plant, the more likely we are to find missing crew. So anytime you see a probe site, there's no excuse not to plant that sucker.
That'll do it for your training. Let's head back to the barracks and report to Secretary Nagi.
And there we go. Thankfully, planting probes is a much quicker process in gameplay. Much like how we've been interacting with spots for treasure, simply approach a probe beacon and hold the A button to plant it. Doing this will be helpful for opening up more segments of Frontier Nav to improve your survey rate percentage, as well as periodically give you materials, credits, and an ore called Moranium. And also, a warning for enemy size. I mentioned it before, but even if you think you're at the right level to encounter an enemy or tyrant, if it's far bigger than you, it may prove to be more of a challenge than you initially expect. And here's information for Segment Recon. After planting a probe, all the surrounding segments will be uncovered, with many of them having information on what exactly the segment task is. Some may have to be unveiled by overhearing vital info. Segments that still need to be cleared also appear as a yellow hexagonal area on the minimap once you step foot into them. But you can also manually track specific ones. I also figured I'd mention, since I'm heading back, is that in the case of tyrants, they're usually never fully gone. After some time, they respawn, in case you want to fight them again. If tied to a segment on the map, that segment will always remain cleared, but the tyrant can still show up again. The only exception is that story-related tyrant. We won't see Volkampf the Pursuer anymore after this. And hey, speaking of segment types, here's a list of them. There's FN site markers for both not found or found, a tyrant segment where you need to defeat the tyrant indicated, treasure segment, story mission segment, which really is only in one place, the barracks, normal and affinity mission segments, which show which mission needs to be cleared for that segment, heart-to-heart segment, which are generally only found in NLA, the rare affinity shift segment, which requires changing relations with certain allies or NPCs, character hangouts, or just unavailable, which might mean you'll need info to unlock them.
Great.
But we're back. I was able to yap long enough to cover the journey back. Oh, hey.
Commander Vandam.
Well, now, look what the cat dragged in.
Sorry we missed you last time. We could have come to meet you at HQ, you know.
Indeed. I suggested as much. Twice.
And we know how much I enjoy being told what to do. Anyway, I hear you tangled with a tyrant, way out of your league, on a training mission, no less. That was reckless, and goddamn magnificent.
Hey, we got approval from Commander Randy Savage. That's nice. Since the game's going to thrust us straight into Chapter 3, I'll end off this video here. This has been Mr. Bacon Bits with Xenoblade X Definitive Edition. Stay safe, happy, and healthy, and I'll see you on the next video. We're nearly done with tutorials, don't worry.
And I would never force or coerce anyone. Well, friend, what do you say? Can we count on you to do your part? Ms. Koo, how much do you know about life pods?
Life pods? You mean like from the white whale?
Yes, those life pods. Like the one Elma, a blade, rescued our friend here from. Emphasis on the word rescued. Because if you aren't released, you just sit there frozen in stasis forever.
So did you have an engineering question about life pods? Or is this all part of the guilt trip?
I'm sure I have no idea what you're talking about. Now, what'll it be, friend? Now, you wouldn't want to refuse the people who saved your life, would you, friend? You said no, you wouldn't refuse. That's a yes, right? You said no, you wouldn't refuse. That's a yes, right?
The threat level earlier today. The gates are officially open for business. One of our teams must have gone out there and kicked some furry indigen butt, huh? Seriously? That was you? Cool.
I don't think so. Those Grexes we took down were fairly routine. Definitely not something they'd lock both gates over, at least.
Then I take my cool back. But wait a sec. You guys fought Grexes? The two of you? Hey, that's still pretty cool. They've been hassling a lot of teams lately, especially how they hunt in packs and all.
Let's not get too excited. Confidence can be good. Overconfidence can be fatal, especially when you're new.
Yeah, you're right.
But enough talk. We've got our mission to deal with. Let's head out.
Roger. That probe is no local probe. They must have lost it when it went off the grid. Whoa, whoa, whoa there, rookie. We're talking about a tyrant here. Do you even understand what that means?
We should probably explain. Tyrant is our term for any indigenous life form that falls outside of our usual threat ranking system. In other words, they're too powerful for us to even measure how dangerous they would be to take on.
And too powerful doesn't always just mean physically strong. If a creature has even a single especially nasty trait, it's classified as a tyrant.
Even some of Blade's very best teams have come back with serious injuries after running into a tyrant in the field. If they come back at all. As long as you understand the risks involved. Lynn?
Count me in. The same goes for everyone in New LA, but if we're gonna settle here on this planet, we're gonna have to get used to dealing with tyrants now and then. Besides, if I need to, I can always run away while it's busy chewing on one of you guys.
Fair enough. But don't push it, okay? Either of you. If we can take it down, great, but if not, even just luring it away would be a moral victory. As long as we buy enough time to install the probe, we can use Frontier Nav to track it, or any other tyrant that comes this close to the city from now on. Just make sure you're ready before we attack. This will be tougher than anything else we've faced.
Yes, ma'am. Whenever you're ready.
Why don't you do the honors? You can launch it right from your comm device. Give it a try.
What? You want me to do it? Now, there's nothing to it, trust me. It's easy. And besides, this is supposed to be your training mission, remember?
Which is exactly why we're here. You're going to have plenty of firsts as you become a Blade. You'd best get used to it.